All right, welcome. It's the Roundtable Gang. It's your boy OTK. We got your boy Renegade J in here, and we got the legendary Apostle Zaquan in here, just to have a discussion. Every time you see my brother, he's probably talking about Hebrews and because that's what he loved. That's and all that. But we want to get my brother into talking about some other things tonight. Along with that, maybe some maps, things about maps, maybe things about family history or anything like that. You know, um, and brother Apostle, man, we really appreciate you for coming through. Um, South Carolinian native, got family in South Carolina like me. Um, reside in Hilton Head right now, correct?
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
So Apostle, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you to go ahead and introduce yourself, my brother. And after you finish with that, we'll just go ahead into having a discussion, man.
All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. First of all, I'd like to give all praises to the Most High, Kal Halal. Uh, excuse me, let me do that correct. Kal Halal Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Um, and I even messed it up again that time. It must be the alcohol. Excuse me, y'all. Let the apostle do this one more time. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm 68 years old and the ticket ain't working too good now. But Kal Halal uh Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Barakathon, and Salakia. May your sins be forgiven. And I mean that with all sincerity, with all life. My prayer for each and every one is that our sins be forgiven. And I mean that with everything that I have in me and hold dear. I want to thank, first of all, Jay and Open to Knowledge and the Round Table and the chat room and all the guest orders for allowing me to come in today to share a little information. Normally, like you say, I'm here. I'm I'm in my bag. I'm talking about the book. We might do that tonight. Going to do a little bit. It be for me to come on live and not share from the book, which is one of the most important things in my life. Everything else is secondary in my life. And in that order, not to say what I mean by the book, I'm talking about everything that is of the Most High. The Most High is first in my life, period. Then my family, my children, and everything else that comes down the line. Uh, I truly thank God for everything that He has shared with me, all the gifts, the blessings, and the hope that He has instilled in me. Because there is a lot of hope in me, and I rely on that hope to carry me as much as it did when I was 22 years old. No good drug user, addicted to heroin and cocaine uh, since I was 12 years old. Alcohol, cigarettes, and the such. A lot of times I leave out the alcohol because I still engage every now and then on a beer, even in my home with just a little Remy Martin VSOP every now and then. My leisure. I'm not in the street. I'm not in the bars. I'm in my home. I'm not driving cars, okay? And I'm not getting intoxicated. Let's get this straight, man. People see you drinking beer and all of a sudden you're an alcoholic. Alcohol, although I've always used it, I have never, ever been consumed by it. In other words, I can do without it. I don't have a compulsion like I do for that drug. Now that joogie boogie, as we call it in DC, I had a compulsion, an obsession. Okay, I had to get it. Quarter spoon every day coming out the gate in order to function. And the means of getting it was any way I can get it. If that meant stealing from mom, I stole from mom. If that meant stealing from your mom, I stole from your mom. If that meant robbing, I robbed. I did what I had to do. Okay? And ain't nobody responsible for that but me. I got myself in it, even though I was 12 years old, didn't have no knowledge, no understanding, was basically introduced to it by somebody that was 17 years old, who didn't know no better, that been doing it since probably earlier than I was. He might have been 9 or 10. I don't know. But it didn't take much back then. $3 could get you over what they called a tray bag or a tray pill. I'm talking in the 60s, y'all. 68, 69, 70. Okay? Between 12 and 22. That was my life. In 1974, my mother moved to PG County, which is the outskirts of Washington, D.C., southeast quarter. She moved there in 74. D.C. police will park out in front of my house in Maryland to keep track of me. I would have plainclothes cars sitting across the street watching whether I was going to get on a bus, get in a car, or walk. They were going to follow me. That's how bad it was. Okay? That's how bad it was. I'm a little off track.
No, you're right on track, Apostle.
Here.
You right on track. Let me ask you a question real quick, Apostle.
Well, I wanted to share that because, first of all, I just wanted to let the family know what God delivered me from. You know, I'm not chasing a pie in the sky. If it had not been for the Lord, I can honestly say I would not be here. None of my friends are. No one.
So
did I grow
is that
up
what
with.
got you off of it? Is that what got you off of it? Off the drugs?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. In 1977, there was a revival at my mother's church. This was in February 1977. I'm 21, turning 22 come May. I'm going to turn 22. There's a 1-week revival going on at the church. God Light Full Gospel Church on Nicholas Avenue, now called Martin Luther King Avenue in Washington, D.C., in Southeast. I had no intentions of going. I was in the basement of my mother's house, and mentally, see, I want y'all to get that. I was in the basement of my mother's house.
Yeah. The lowest point.
In the
I got you.
basement.
Follow you.
Roots is on TV for the first time. This is what's on TV. Roots. I'm in the basement and I'm watching Roots. And the reason why I'm in the basement, because at this particular moment, it was dangerous for me to be outside, out of the house, unprotected, without a vehicle. I didn't own one, but I had liberty to many because my sisters and brothers had vehicles and I could use them. But when I was shut down and couldn't use them, I couldn't leave the house unless I had somebody come pick me up. Because I needed to be around people that I could trust. Because I had got into the dope game so bad that I started robbing drug dealers. One that kept the police off my back. You can't call the police. A drug dealer can't call the police and say that dude robbed me. Okay? But that drug dealer can square your account. If he don't do it personally, he can easily get somebody to do it. Shit, they'll do it for $100. They'll kill you $20.
Yeah, good word.
Today, and most of you know, a crackhead will kill you for a hit. I'm serious. So I'm in the basement. I'm feeling bad, disgusted. I'm mad at Whitey for how they treating us. I'm looking at Roots, you know, and emotionally, man, I'm a wreck, right? I'm a wreck. But I had a moment, man, a reprieve of emotion, tears welled up in me. And I said these words: God, I don't know if you are real. My mother says you are. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you're there. I don't know if you hear me. I don't even know if you're listening to me. But if you are, you have to change my life. I can't do it. I'm unable to do anything to change the conditions that I'm in. Either change me or remove me. Because I no longer want to be a burden to my family. I don't want my mother setting a sandwich at the top of the steps because she don't even want to come look at me. You know, I'm tired,
man. And the reason why I asked you that, I'm sorry, Apostle. The reason why I asked you that, because I have people in my family. I have people in my family that's close that are addicted. What'd you say? You said heroin? Did you used to use?
Heroin.
Apostle. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So my next question would be then.
Heroin. Down, Joogie Boogie.
My next question would be, how do you view the way that they're dealing with addiction in our country today? Would you take a different approach? What would your approach to be to getting people clean? How do you see that?
You saw Snow, right?
Me, no.
The series?
No.
I came on TV about.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Talk about Snowfall, right?
Snowfall. Yeah. The story of Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross.
Yes.
how our government went into Los Angeles and picked a 15-year-old kid, supplied him with all the cocaine he needed
Mm-hmm.
to devastate the city of Los Angeles so
Yep.
that they can do a test.
Fund they wars too.
Right. Yeah. Got the Contra. The whole thing was supplying the Contras with weapons,
Mm-hmm.
and our government needed denied the plausibility, and they needed funding. So they took the money from the sale of the cocaine, purchased the weapons to give to the Contras to fight against Russia.
Yes, yeah. Helping the Nicaraguans, yeah.
And this
You
dude
know, at the
did,
same time, oh, excuse me, Apostle. At the same time they was doing that, they also was doing that in Detroit, like out there in the Midwest too, right? With
right,
with your boy,
and in New York,
white boy Ricky.
white boy
Yeah.
Rick, not just
Go
white
ahead, go
boy
ahead.
Rick, but all of them.
All them boys, right?
Maserati
Maserati.
Rick,
Mm-hmm.
all of them. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one guy that ever beat the system. Let's get this thing straight, man. Only one guy that made millions and walked away that they never got.
Frank Matthews.
Uh, Frank Matthews, not Lucas. Frank Matthews. They
Frank
never
Matthews,
got him.
baby. Never got
Today, they don't even know if he's alive or dead, right?
it. Right.
And they ain't made no movie about him, but they done made movies about Bumpy. All the guys that done snitched, right? All the guys that lived that life benefited from that life and turned around and snitched to get away from the consequences of the life.
Right.
There's something got to be wrong with that, man. You know, you didn't did all this damage. Not to say I haven't, because I have. Most of the damage I done was mostly probably, I mean, the consequences of my life caused 8 children. And I bleed because of my life. My first wife and myself, we lost 7 children. I believe as a direct result of things that I did early on in life.
Mm.
Come. I believe in seed time and harvest. I believe that God has set up a retribution system so a man soweth. So if you're sowing devastation in the earth, you're going to reap devastation from the earth. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. I believe that. Rather it's to the natural law or to the spirit law. Everything that we do in life, for every action, there's a reaction. Rather it's negative or positive. If you sow positive, positiveness will come back to you. Not to say that negatives won't come, but you still will reap the benefits of what you sow. I believe that. The way you treat people, that's how people would treat you.
So you said you was in the basement, and I get the psychological thing with that because you're saying pretty much you was at the lowest form, you was at your lowest point in life, and then you was in the basement, which is the lowest form of the house. You didn't want your mama putting the food by the steps because she didn't want to come and see you. Um, how long did it take you before you came out of that?
Well, like I say, that what
At the
happened was
revival, you stopped at the revival.
right.
So how long after the revival did it take?
Oh man, immediately. It the revival at my mother's church was this particular week in February, and the following week it was extended to my sister's church. My mother's church and my sister's church were like sister churches.
Mm-hmm.
They were churches that were connected. So when the revival ended at my mother's church, and I was telling my mother that I was ready to come, I'm sorry I missed it. She said, no problem. It's going to start up Sunday at your sister's church. And I had to go because I done put my mouth out there, thinking
Mm-hmm.
I had got past it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was slick myself. That Wednesday night, I went. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and my mother's on me. My mother had the preacher, a female, to come out to the house that Tuesday. I'm down in the basement.
Right.
Right? So she's getting ready to leave, so they want to have prayer. They called me up out the basement. This is that Tuesday evening. And want me to join in on the prayer. They wanted this young lady, they wanted this woman to see me. We had prayer, she left. Wednesday, I went to the church, sat back in the church, in the back, small church, maybe had 75 people in it, and it was packed because it was a small church, a little one-room church, 2 bathrooms, and an altar, country preacher. Outside of Maryland, outside of Maryland, it'll come to me what part of Maryland it was. Capitol Heights. Capitol Heights, Maryland, something like that. Yeah. So I'm in the back of the church, and I'm driving my car. Had my collar up on my leather jacket, black, and I'm sitting, got my arm on the armrest, and I'm back there, and I'm just saying to myself, yeah, I know if this thing can't go on. And she preaching. This woman is preaching hard, man. Sweat, spit. Oh, yeah,
right.
And all kind of stuff is going on, man. I know something's going on with me, and I did not have my barriers on. I had my I had my shield. I was guarding myself. I can't wait for this to be over. Yeah, I'm gonna go home and catch the next portion of Roots, and I'm blocking this stuff as much as I can, man.
Right.
And what I didn't know that at the end of the church, she was gonna start calling people up. You know how they doing these Pentecost.
Yeah.
Your church might go an hour and a half. This church went 4 hours, man. 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we still in the church. We still in the church. And they don't look like they about to shut down. And now she want to pray for everybody. And what she do, she called me up there. I'm like, me? She said, yeah, you. Come on up here. And I did. I came up and something happened, man. I can't explain it. Something happened to me where I felt 400 pounds of weight lifting up off my chest that was on me, that was weighing me down. I felt it just move away. I felt it. I felt it. I'm 21 years old, a thug, and I break down in the middle of a church, 75 people deep, crying like a baby. I'm crying like a baby. I feel so much anguish, so much guilt, so much degradation in my. I just felt everything that I've done in life. I felt it, man. And I couldn't get away from it. God became real that night. And I remember not a week ago when I asked him to change me or kill me. That night, I stopped smoking. That night, I didn't use any drugs. I think 6 weeks later, I got my income tax check. Temptation, right? Up until that point, I didn't do no drugs. I didn't smoke no cigarettes. I didn't feel no withdrawal. I did not feel sick. I didn't even have a common cold. I felt new. Somehow between that time and getting that check, my baby brother was coming down the steps. I'm up in the living room. Why? Because I'm no longer in the basement, man. I'm no longer in the basement.
Right.
I'm upstairs in the room with my brother. I'm sitting on the edge, the back of the sofa, looking out the picture window at the sky, because all of a sudden the clouds look different. There's a piece that I see in the clouds, a painting, a portrait that I couldn't paint if I wanted to. And I paint. I draw. I do that. But if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. It was that perfect. And my brother came down the step and said, I was thinking about going to that church, but I know I ain't going to that damn church now. Look at my brother sitting over there staring out the window like a damn fool. I know I ain't going to that goddamn church. And that's exactly what came out of his mouth. Because he did not recognize the person that I was. But when I got that income tax, when I got that income tax check, I mean, just back then the checks came in the mail.
Right.
Boy, I couldn't wait to get down into the bank and cash that check. Went by the way. I bought some heroin and I bought a pill. We called it BAM on the street. It's a diet pill that they used to give away to help people lose weight. It had BI-62 on the pill. It was pink. You peel the coating away and it'd be a yellow pill inside. That's what you want. Pure speed, man. Pure speed. It produces your metabolism and it takes your hunger away. It makes you not want to eat, right? It's an uppity. and you mix that with the downer to get what we call a cosmic dentist effect. You multiplying the system, your drug, you boosting it. So you're shooting that downer with a rush. It's taking the place of the coke. It's a cheap man's cocaine, basically. I'm not speedballing with cocaine. I'm speedballing with the BI 62. Bam. The pill costs about $15. And I think I spent like $145 on a 8-ball quarter spoon back then. In Southeast, there's a hill. There's a Catholic church called the Panorama. It's a Catholic church and a dance hall the Catholic church owned called the Panorama Room. We used to go up there and see Chuck and all the bands and all that kind of stuff. So there's a hill. Up on top of the hill, you can sit up on a hill and see all over Washington, D.C. During the fireworks, we would go there and watch the fireworks down at the monument. Because you can see the monument, the White House, the Capitol. Everybody know about Big M. They hear me talking. They know about that hill up there at Our Lady Perpetual Health Catholic Church, right across the street from Moton Elementary School. And me and my partner, we sitting up there in my mother's car, Buick Regency, and we spiking, looking over the city. And I'm sharing with him where I've been the last 6 weeks and what happened to me. Because he was like, man, what's up? You know, where you been? And I'm telling him. He's telling me he's going to go in the Army. He's on the same trip, and we getting high now. And that was the last time I got high off of heroin. I wound up selling the rest of it. Probably gave most of it away. And I made my mind up sitting up in that car after I sobered up that God had done something for me. Don't throw it away. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. So a year later, I got called to the ministry. My honeymoon weekend. I had just got back from me and my first wife getting married. We went up to Hagerstown, up in the mountains. I came back, and Friday night we went to service, and I got called to the ministry. I'm 22 years old at that point. And the next year I get licensed as a local minister. There it ran. 47 years later, you know, in 2012, I was installed in church. This is before I left the Christian church as an apostle. Hands laid upon. I got all documentations of that. Got all documentations of pastoring. Got all documentations of I can marry folk. I've married folk. I've funeralized folk. I can go into any hospital if I got a patient I want to see, whether I know them or not. If you call me and say, my mom is sick, can you stop by? I can walk in that hospital any time of the night. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, anytime, and go pray with your mother. Because I have the credentials to do that.
Okay.
And for 47 years, that's basically what I've done. Because of that, I got nominated in my family. Family is very important. We got an extensive history in my family. And 37, well, when I was 22, ministry, I started doing I was nominated by my cousin, whose father was the president of the family and had been the president of the family for years. He was retiring. He was in his 60s, and his daughter nominated me to take his place. And for 37 years, I was the family president of my family. I had a cousin that lived with my grandfather when my grandfather couldn't live on his own. My grandfather lived with her father, who was his brother. And she was at that age that she was able to talk to a lot of older generational people. And she maintained the history, the oral stories that were told throughout the family. Like about Charles Anson Campbell. I'm going to get into that right now. Who was my 7th generation grandfather, born 2 days off the slave ship in 1767, September the 16th. The Charlotte Cape that docked in St. Augustine, Florida in 1767, August 14th. So let me go and pull this article up real quick.
All right.
And I'm not going to read all of it because I don't want to bore y'all, but just let me give you the gist of the history of what I was able.
Yeah, we want you to, go in for at least an hour. We still got another 20 minutes, so it's a great story, man. Everyone's enjoying it and learning a lot.
All right, just to
so
be quick.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
While he does that, I'll give a shout out to the chat. What's up, Sakina? What's up, Gemini? I see Ibizzle's there. Barn Dog. Who else I see in there? Genealogy Season 22. What's up? What's up, y'all? Dots. Dulcinea was in the building. Okay. Who else? He does everybody. Yeah, we'll drop the link again in like 20 minutes if y'all want to.
Okay, y'all see it?
Possible. Yep, I got you.
All right. Y'all, the screen is up, right?
Yeah, it's up.
This information took me 37 years to communicate. This is before computers. This is before YouTube. This is legwork. This is traveling. Information out of libraries. The Williston Library, the Baltimore Pratt Library, the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., picking up information, backing up the information that was shared orally with my family. Every year it was recited. Someone would stand up that had that history and would tell it. It's just that when I got it, I researched it and documented it to make sure everything was true. And this is what I came up with. Charles Anson Campbell was born 2 days after the slave ship Charlotte Cape docked at the St. Augustine, Florida shipping port on the 16th day of September in the year 1767. His father and mother were of African descent, born in Sierra Leone of the Timni people. His mother was taken captives by slave traders who were employed by slave owner Richard Oswald of Scotland. Oswald also owned a slave-holding station on Bunce Island on the Sierra Leone River. Bunce Island was used as a holding station for slaves for the purpose of shipping captured slaves to America and the Virgin Islands. The Charlotte Cape was owned by Oswald and commanded by Captain Richard Savory. It set sail from St. Augustine, Florida, late April, early May, heading to Barbados to pick up rum for trade, and then sailed to Africa, picking up approximately 60 female slaves for the Oswald Plantation, the Tomoka Island Plantation in St. Augustine, Florida. The shipment log states that the cargo on the Charlotte Cape for ship to America contained 60 female slaves. Let me where I'm at. Shipping logs. America contained 60 female slaves of breeding age, 30 young females and males slaves of proper age for working in the field. Mr. Oswald and his partner, Governor James Grant of Florida, owned 3 plantations in all: the Tomoka Island Plantation, called Mount Oswald, a plantation in Georgia on the Savannah River, and a third plantation in South Carolina on the Santee River. He also the sole owner of a 4th plantation, speaking of Oswald, in Virginia that was given to him as a wedding gift. The Tomoka Island Plantation began in the year 1765 with 100 male slaves transferred from South Carolina Plantation. It is during this 20-year period from 1765 to 1785 that the plantation was developed through a land grant treaty between the Spanish occupiers and the English colonists for the purpose of marketing rice, indigo, sugarcane. Charles and his mother were held captive on that plantation until her death. At the closing of the plantation in 1785, it was during this time that it was believed that Charles plotted his escape for freedom. The ship sailed up the St. John River out through the Savannah River with its cargo, slaves for the destination at the Georgia plantation, where the ship was attacked by Seminole Indians, where many slaves lost their lives and others escaped. Excuse me. It is said that Charles Anson Campbell eluded captors by carefully plotting out his course due west up the river instead of going north. This allowed him to escape into the western counties of South Carolina, where he lived and raised his family and remained a free man until his death. It is not actually known how he remained a free man other than through oral tradition. We do know sometime during his lifetime about how he met and married a young woman named Mary. She was born in Virginia, and both of their parents were of African born. According to the 1850s and 1900 census records, together they had 6 children. 4 children are known: Daniel, Joseph, Adeline, Rachel. A 5th child has been found out. His name is Charlie, after his father. In 1850 census record shows that Charles Anson Campbell as a free man of color, basically. However, his wife and children are recorded as slaves. 1900 census record shows Charles Anson Campbell, head of household, at the age of 132 years. Mary, his wife, was 90. There were 2 grandchildren in the home: John Sally, who's a cousin of mine, actually the former basketball player. His name is from this person, age 19, and Georgia, age 20, with 2 small children: Charity, age 3, Sarah, 1 year old. Georgia was the daughter of Josephine and Phyllis Campbell. Georgia Campbell Youngblood was a widow with 2 small children. You know, here is going to get into a lot of history about my family and individuals that lived in my past. It's not going to be interesting to you because you don't know who they were or anything about that. And I'm gonna save you just from calling out these different names. Okay, I'm gonna spare you that because even my family get bored with it sometimes. I noticed during this time a lot of them start walking out. They done heard it so many times. But I'm gonna read about my grandmother.
Okay.
She is the daughter of Charles Anson and Mary Campbell. Our matriarch, Adeline Campbell Young, was born December 25th, 1831. She passed on from this life November 25th, 1945. She was 114 years of age, old. Adeline was married twice in her life. Her first husband, Daniel Pryor, was sold by the slave owner early in the marriage. I'm talking about within a couple of months. However, he allowed it, was sold on it early in the stopped prior from being sold. However, he allowed it to happen because he did not approve of the union. And the reason why he didn't approve of the union, because he had something to say about it, because they were not a full-blooded, Pryor was not full-blooded African. Everybody in my family, from Charles Anson Campbell to my grandmother to her son, my grandfather, were all full-blooded African. My grandfather was the one that put an end to it after Charles, his grandfather, died. And you'll see that. Later to say, let me say, however, he allowed because he didn't approve of the union. Later that same year, 1859, Annie and Adeline's first child was the daughter of Daniel Pryor and was named Evelina, born in 1860. Children born to Daniel Young, her second husband, and Adeline were Olivia, Duchess, Daniel Jr., who is my grandfather, Henry, who is also called Harry, Mayella, James, who is also called Jim, Arthur, Walter, and Addie Mae was born in 1891. You take note, 1891, that's 31 years after 1860. This woman gave birth to children 31 years of her life. And she gave birth to her last, Addie Mae, at 61 years of age. Documented. The woman, Adeline, at 100 years old, was still pulling in over 100 pounds of cotton a day. I can't do that now. She was still pulling in 100 pounds of cotton every day. I could read the rest of this. I'm not going to do that to y'all. The churches are in here that Charles Anson Campbell and Grandma Adeline, they built together, that are still in operation today in Western South Carolina. The elementary school is still inactive today. This is me honoring my cousin Lily Mae for preserving the history of the family that led to me being able to write all of this information and document it. I remembered as a young child listening to cousin Lily Mae teaching about the history of our family. As I thought about the wealth of knowledge she possessed and the honor and respect that she was given to them as she was sharing, I honor her memory now for motivating a desire in me to want to know more and to do for the family what she has done for me. I can hear her speaking, visualize her standing in Aunt Murtis's front yard on Friday night fish fry, talking about Charles Anson Campbell, how he was born 2 days after the slave ship docked in St. Augustine, Florida, and that he escaped from slavery. And he was a man of great respect and honor among many. He was self-educated. Throughout his lifetime, spoke boldly against the unlawful treatment of African American people and the unjust cruelty of slavery. She told us how he started 5 churches in Williston, South Carolina, in Barnwell County area, that before his death, he was honored for being the oldest person living and was given a pure silver walking cane and a silver badge that was made in Washington, D.C. She talked about Grandma Adeline and how her first husband was sold and how Charles Anson Campbell could have stopped it, but refused to. She was the glue that kept the family together with her strong will, able mind, and godly reverence that led a Christian foundation that carried us through into the 21st century. Cousin Lily Mae told us, Grandma gave birth to 16 children during her lifetime, over a 31-year span, and that she gave birth to her last child at age 61. Grandma did not like the color red because the slave ship was draped in red cloth. It was a Spanish gallo or English commandant. Had the red flag with white cross. Before her death, Grandma Adeline was bedridden and had long white hair down her back. In my imagination, embodying the strength, the courage of the original matriarch, the African, Charles's mother, how she endured the hardship and the horrible conditions, yet survived the journey that many didn't, even though she was with child. When I think about that, Y'all excuse me for a minute.
No problem.
When I think about all that I've been taught about Charles Anson's mother, I think about Grandma Adeline. Her inner strength, her beauty, her longevity, and godly spirit that she has shared and passed on to all the family, even unto this very day. Carol and I delight in the honor because of the opportunity to host. That's when I host one of the family unions, the 87th family reunion here in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you
I
for
don't
that.
know how many times over the years I've read that. This happens every time, man.
That's powerful.
Because if it wasn't for them, there would be no me.
Mm-hmm.
My children would not be here. My son, my beautiful daughter, her children, my son's children. I got a lot to be grateful for, man. Not just the fact that I don't have to stick a needle in my arm today. But as I think about the things I used to do, it could have robbed me of everything that I got today. And I thank God that He prevailed. That's why I thirst for the Lord. And that's why I won't stop. I'm bound to this journey. And I can't give up now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Whether as a Christian or Hebrew.
A lot of people might ask, prove your God is real, prove your God exists. Your life is your proof, right?
Life. Facts.
Mm.
Yeah. Don't let me tell y'all the story about my daughter. My daughter's adopted. Most people know that. My first wife and I lost 7 children. My oldest son was the third child. We lost 3 children before he was born. And we lost 4 after he was born. And the last one, I almost lost my wife. She became septic poison. And
blood poisoning, yeah.
Yeah. And back then, they don't know what they know today. Mm-hmm. Very few survived today. They didn't give her no hope. They resuscitated her that night, I think like 3 or 4 times. When I got a call like 3 o'clock in the morning telling me to get the family up there because they didn't think that she was going to survive the night. So after that, we adopted. I was still raising pit bulls at the time. Yeah. Crenshaw, Gator Mouth. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. I got my first bitch from my cousin down in Florida, Red Nose. Okay.
Yeah.
80-pound female, thick, and she was the runt.
At 80.
Now I got a 7-month-old Canicoso Corso that I just got last month.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
1 month.
My people's them. We got our own little kennel. Matter of fact, I'll send you the Instagram link to that.
Okay.
We got the bullies and Corsos and all that, man. Yeah, I got me a
All
little
right.
too, right?
We might be able to do some business, cuz that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm gonna do on my 10 acres, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna raise up a kennel, and I'm gonna raise not just for breeding, but for daycare to allow people to drop their pets off. Vacation.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do
So
horses
you're gonna do
the
the
same way.
shampooing? Yeah, you're gonna be doing
Yeah.
everything
Oh yeah.
then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Not I'm gonna do it for horses, and I'm also gonna raise sheep and goats and chickens to
Oh, okay.
pass on
You
to my
going?
family.
Yeah, you going all the way in.
I'm going homestead. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you going all
I'm
the
not
way.
gonna look for this government for nothing, man. As
You
long as
going
they continue to put my
self-sustainable.
check in the account, that's all they got to do. But if they get nasty and decide not to send my check, I'll be able to take it myself. Yes,
Right,
sir. If I got to
self-sustainable.
slaughter a sheep, you know, I got to go
Yeah,
outside and dig up the vegetable ditch and pull me out a pickle. I'm going to eat. You understand?
Right.
If I got to cut up a chicken, I'm going to eat. My family's going to eat, man. I'm not going to allow these people to rob me of what is mine. You know, they've been doing that too long, man. They tried to take me out like free highway. How to go?
Freeway Rick.
Freeway Rick. Yeah. What they did to that brother's a shame, and then lock him up. Supplied the drugs and then locked him up. And made sure he was broke at the end. Took his money. The CIA went into his accounts and took his money. And the CIA agent that did it pocketed the money. Wound up dying. He wound up losing his life because he showed destroyed many lives, man. Ain't nobody wickeder, man, than the CIA in this country, man. I don't want to get y'all channel messed up, so I don't care what they do to mine. I say it all over there. I don't care. we talk about the Drake and everything. I don't care.
Hey, Apostle, do you want
real
to,
quick? I'm gonna let y'all go ahead on, and we're gonna see who want to come up and talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people heard about my daughter, but she was left on the church steps in Maryland 2 days after Christmas, and it was in the 80s. And when they found her, she was 3 hours old. And my mother called me, and 6 o'clock news was on. This was on Channel 7 in Washington. And my mother called me and said, Stan, turn to Channel 7. She said, they just found this baby. Ooh, I want this baby. My mother was saying, I want this baby. She said, but she said, God is telling me that this baby is for you and Vita. And I said, Mom, I don't know how that's possible. I said, I got a call today, and we are going to look at a little boy tomorrow in the morning for adoption through the state of Maryland. We're going, and more likely, I'm going to bring this baby home tomorrow. And my mother said, I don't care what you're saying. I know God's voice, and God said, his baby is for you and Vita. Well, the next morning, I get a call. They canceled the appointment because I got pit bulls. And the pit bull killed the kid in California that night, even with the time difference. Understand, this is 6 o'clock. This hasn't even happened yet. This incident in California haven't even happened. And my mother is telling me that no, God said this baby. 6 months later, I get a call asking me if we still wanted to adopt because they had to go through a process, and it takes 6 months between the time of finding a child and allowing the child to be adopted. It takes 6 months. That child is my daughter. I know my mother. I know what she told me on the phone. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. That's my daughter. That same child that was left on the steps 2 days after Christmas. I even told her, since finding out when I turned 61, 66, 65, that my biological father, the man that raised me from a pup until he died in 1974, was not my biological father. 3 months later, finding out who my biological father was, and I got 6 sisters and a whole nother brother, along with the 3 sisters and 5 brothers I got today from my mother. I mean, by going, sending my DNA to 23andMe and DNA.com, I found my niece where we shared 25% DNA. Her father is my brother. After finding this out, because of my daughter, we always let her know that she was adopted, because I didn't want her to go through life like I did, even though I didn't know I was going through life like that. I didn't want her to go through life not knowing she was adopted to find out that she was. Knowing that same thing happened to me, but I didn't know it. And I asked her, baby girl, I can help you find your people. Do you want? No. I know who my father is. I know who my mother is. That's her heart. And I honor that. But that's still God in my life. That's what God has done for me. And I'm going to let Sonetta tell me he's not real. No. I mean, you're talking to me like I'm Boo Boo the Fool. That would be a foolish thing. To walk the walk that I've walked in my life, knowing that there's a God, not by faith, but by sight, knowing through relationship. I'm done, man. What else can I say?
That was awesome. That was good, Apostle. We appreciate you, man.
Great story. And what's crazy, Apostle, now that you done say all that, the stuff that we was talking about in the back before we even got on live, I'm gonna save that.
Another night?
I'm gonna hold that in the cut. Oh boy, I see my boy looking like got the hair wavy back like Ashford Simpson tonight. You know what I mean? My brother Apostle. Okay. Hey, brother Apostle,
Yeah,
you see
I
the
started to put the ponytail up. I said, nah, they just family. It's all
it's
right.
just family. It's
They
just
can see me
family.
how I walk, how I live.
I know that's right. Appreciate you too, man. You family to us too, man. Hey,
Yeah.
Sister Sakina, how you doing from Unscrambled Mind? How you doing today, sis?
I'm fine. Peace and blessings to all of y'all. And I'm thankful to be here. Um, I missed the apostle last time he came on the show. I know why he left, but I'm just grateful to be here to hear this wonderful story. You know, we miss him because he disappeared on us, and I want to say that it's a blessing to see him back for several reasons. Because now you sound more stronger. You know what I'm saying? You came back with a vengeance. It's like
Uh-huh.
you sound more different than you did before. May I say that? Because before you had a more of a aggression when you spoke. Not that you wasn't powerful in your speech, but you have it's like you have a more meditative speak when you speak now. You don't have all that anger and all that aggression when you speak now. It's a difference, a real calming difference when you speak now, right? It's a lower stress, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that, right? And I know you can appreciate it more. And so, like I said, your story was amazing. I you know, and it's like no matter what, nobody can tell you what you've been through because we all need a little dirt to grow. We all have a story. We all come through something, and nobody knows what you've been through. And so, if we can call it what we want to, but at the end of the day, we're gonna call it right. And no matter what that is, so when it comes to your belief or what it is, what you might call it, but if you have to believe in something, you can call it what you want to, but call it what it is. And if that's your strength that brought you through, then if you like it, I love it. Because heroin is something, listen here, it for you to come through it the way you came through it, if it was a God that brought you through it, then I thank it for you because that's something hard to come through. I've seen the struggles of people coming and not making it. I've seen it. And so for you to come through it like that, amazing. It's honorable, right? It's achievable because you had something, someone that you could lean on that was there. That's what they call that footprints in the sand. We've all
Yeah.
believed in it one time or
Right.
another. And even then, we still believe in it no matter what we want to say now. We lean towards something or someone in some kind of fashion, even if we say it's ourselves, right? So again, we can call it what we want, but we call it at the end of the day. So I appreciate your story. It was an honor, especially for you to share it because you didn't have to, right? That's real, right? That's a true man, a woman, but it's a human to tell and share that story. Even the one when you had to go deep and to take and share your family history. That's deep. You know, so I'm just honored to just say that I appreciate it
Thank you.
on so many levels.
Thank you.
You know, and again, you sound so much stronger now than before,
Mhm.
right? And that nobody could hold you back and stop you from your journey, from your moons, and from everything you've done. And I hope you come back to Unscrambled Minds. Don't let the arguments take you away from us because we need to hear
Yeah.
more from you as well. You are our elder, you are our honor, and we are glad to see you and have you. And I need you to remember that.
Much appreciated.
That's all I wanted to say, y'all.
Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate
and
you.
I'm gonna come down off of the panel. Y'all know how I feel about y'all. Y'all bring in the stories, and y'all keep doing what y'all do. I love y'all.
You don't have to
Thank
leave.
you.
You don't have to
We love
leave.
you
You
too.
always welcome, Queen. You always welcome. You know,
Well, I
our
want
castle.
somebody else to be able to come up here and
We
you know,
got
let
room. Yeah, we
honor
got
the
room.
panel.
Okay. Apostle, you wanna say something back to her real quick about that before we go to the next question?
No,
Zaquan.
Hey, hold on, Bishop. And mute your mic up, man, please.
yeah, nah, I got nothing but respect for her, and I thank her for her support and her words. I accept that, and I receive it coming, from my heart. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I got nothing but respect for all of these sisters, man.
And something that you
You know,
elaborated on,
I mean,
Sabrina. Go ahead, Apostle. Go ahead, bro.
no, I mean, I just thinking about, the matriarch in my family. Everything that she survived a journey that few did, let alone being expected with child in the conditions of all that filth and putridness that them slave ships had. And they didn't treat her with kind gloves. They treated her just like they didn't care for her because she had a bun in the oven or per se, however they would. Nah, they looked at her as with just as much hatred as anybody else. They treated her probably worse because she was bringing another one in this life. She was bringing another son in this world.
Mm-hmm.
If they had known who Charles Anson Campbell came to be, living in slavery, the heart of slavery, in South Carolina as a free man, according to the census records of 1850. You don't see black people in 1850 census records because we are property.
Come on.
You only see them in property logs. What this plantation owned and who. Only free people before 1860. You didn't see black people in the census records. And I found that in the Library of Congress. Believe it or not. It was in a book, reference book. It was not on Fisher film.
No.
It was listed in a book that was reported from South Carolina.
See.
You know.
And it's referenced, so you can't remove it out of the Library of Congress. The damn thing is old.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Even like most of us, right? We grow up in life and your parents tell you got Cherokee in your blood, right? But to go to DNA.com and to pull up a relative name and to see that relative had to register in 1884 as one of the 5 civilized tribes of America, as a native. Although you've been told that, but you actually see it. And beside her name, it says full-blooded Cherokee. How can you deny that?
That's deep.
Because when you talk about my mother's side, now see, Charles Anson Campbell is on my mother's father's side. That's not on her mother's side. That's a whole different thing. Because that's when you got the Choctaw. That's when you got the
Chickasaw, the
Yeah, and all
Catawbas,
of that.
all
Yeah.
that. Up your way, the Catawbas would
Creek.
have been up that way.
Yeah, that's up in Aiken. That's when you got that, man. You know, and them people, they look totally different from my mother's father's people. But when I understood my mother's father's people, the first 3 generations, pure-blooded African on all sides. They were purebred first 3 generations. My grandfather changed that. 56-year-old marrying to a 12-year-old girl. He basically took her from the family as debt to fulfill debt. He used to go with her mama. He went with her mama. My grandmother called him Mr. Young. He was an old man to her.
But that's how they handled slavery too back then, right? I mean, that's the way they were handling slavery back then too, to take care of debt.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was, you know, it was handling debt, to paying off debt with slaves. Yeah. And so he married her instead of enslaving him. He married her.
Grandma Georgia didn't live a day beyond 48. She died too early. She died too early. And I know that was a result of my grandfather. Hell, he had children older than her. My mother got sisters older than her mother. And there's an unbalance there. I know that. But I can't deny that it happened. Because it happened. It's real.
It is.
And the law didn't have, and the law, it wasn't against the law. Now, morally, people can feel the way they want to feel about it, and I can't blame them.
But we can't, listen, this is where we get things kind of twisted up. Because we can't use today's mind with yesterday's past. Now, then we talking about slavery, and we're talking about, you talking about laws, and we talking about mindsets. So in that mindset, that wasn't what we would call pedophilia, and we're talking about slavery. We're talking about settling debts.
Right.
So we're not talking about was this considered a child? Exactly. So today, yes, but yesterday, no. So you see what I'm saying? Just like the reason why they, you see what I'm saying? Just like the reason why they. Okay, thank you for muting up for me. The reason why they did blood tests for marriages to make sure you didn't marry brothers and sisters and cousins, that was the reason why that was. But before that, right, the reason why they were doing that was to keep inheritance and things in the family, right? To make sure that they kept the inheritance and these things in the family. So that's why cousins, they were having those marriages set up with not just first cousins or whatever, but they were trying to keep them in the family. So you had arrangements with second cousins and these kind of things. And they still kind of do that now, because they say third cousins and fourth cousins are not really cousins. But that's why they were doing that blood test, to make sure that you wasn't marrying, you know, brothers and sisters. They did that movie Flowers in the Attic in 1 and 2, and we all know what that was about. The uncle married the daughter, and so that's why they did that, so that, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis and other people that was messing around with their cousin Mary. And so this is why they did that. But now it's, and that's why it seemed to be gross. But before then, it wasn't considered right, because that mindset was not in that place. So now if you look at it, it's this, that, and the other. But at that time, no, it wasn't. Right? Because otherwise Queen Elizabeth would have remarried, but she didn't. You see what I'm saying? She married her cousin,
Right.
and then when he passed on, why would she get another king? Because that would have easily got her removed from being queen. But if she, you see what I'm saying? So she wouldn't have remarried to boot herself
Right.
out, because if she remarried a king, he could have easily got rid of her, and she wouldn't have been queen no more. But
I think she also had sons too, right? So I think as long as she had those sons, that's what also kept her in the power too.
Exactly. So, you know,
Yeah,
and
you're
so
absolutely correct.
these are the reasons. So, like I said, people can say what they want to now because they got a new mindset now. But if we really take it for what it was,
Right.
you can't use today's mindset with yesterday's history because they wasn't thinking of it like that. So the dynasty was dynasty, but that's only because of today's mindset. Because yesterday we wasn't thinking like that yesterday, and so we can't think about it like that for yesterday.
Hey,
And with
Truist,
that,
you want to
I'm
get a
a-
word in? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I caught the last bit of Apostle's story. It was a beautiful story. I heard him speak about it before over on Lides, and it's a beautiful story. And Apostle is someone in these spaces that I've always felt was genuine and actually believes and practices what he preaches, and is always coming from a good place. So I respect him. I respect him a lot. I always have. So I'm just sitting back listening for now.
All right.
Thank you, Truist. James Brown Jr.
Thought
got
he
a word?
was up here.
Yeah, here he is. He's right here.
Shalom, Apostle.
He Bizzo.
You know, I had to make my apology tour today. You know, to everybody, man. Much respect to everybody on the panel. But I wanted to ask you, what did you come from your background from to Muslim, brother?
During a brief period. During a very,
I'm sorry. No, hold on, Apostle. I wanted to ask, where did you come from in your Muslim background, bro?
Bro,
To the brother.
That's not what the conversation's about, man.
Oh, okay.
So that might be for another episode, and I don't even think you're on point with that question. So we gotta move on, man.
was just looking like
This dude busy,
Muslim.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all
What'd you
good,
think?
man.
What'd you think of Apostle's story, Ibiza? What'd you think of his story?
You know, I think it was a great story. Apostle. You know, we come from a different background. I came from the dirt, so I came from a schoolyard bullying and this and that, whoop bop the bam. So Apostle, he came from a different background from me. So I came from a harder background. So I came from it is what it is. I don't know if Apostle, he came from that background. I know he said he came from DC, but I come from the Chi. So it's gonna be a little bit rougher.
You think so?
It's gonna be a little bit rougher.
You think so?
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit rougher, bro.
I think most people that say that they never visited the Southeast. They never visited Southeast.
No, brother. No, I'm trying to tell you right now, it's gonna be a little bit rougher, bro.
Yeah. One thing I realized though, mute up. Can everybody mute up?
And can tell you that it's gonna be a little bit rougher, brother.
Yeah, can everybody mute up real quick? Yeah. One thing, growing up in Chicago and being from the South, I'm gonna tell you like this. Yeah, Chicago was rough because of how big it was and how diverse it was and all that. But one thing I realized, every state, boy, it's a rough area, every state, and it's a rough city everywhere. There are gangsters everywhere. Even the ones that don't look like gangsters are gangsters, boy. And that's one thing we got to respect. But as far as gangs now, yes, Chicago is real rugged compared to, and then you got Cali. But the South, all we can say is like we rugged, like period. We don't like outsiders. You know what I mean? So when it come down to that, so I feel where E Bizzle is coming from, but then that's a whole different time than what you came up in, Apostle. You came up in a whole different era, right? How was your era? Your era was like go ahead on there. Let Bizzle. I think that's what Bizzle was asking. Like, what kind of era did you come up in compared to like the hard knocks?
No. The only thing I was saying was just when you deal with Chirac, it's so many, everything that you deal with out in Chicago is dealt with Chicago with a biblical based gang. So when you look at like the Black Souls, when you look at like the Latin Kings, when you look at like the GDs, when you look at the BDs, when you look at the Blackstone, it's all based off of Blackstone. Chicago is a unique gang based territory. Every situation that you deal with Chicago, it's gonna be deal with a black or a biblical stone base. So that's all I'm saying.
All right, thank you, E Bizzle. James Brown Jr.
Like I go in it like this here, like New York, Philadelphia, even Baltimore, Chicago. These areas were heavily, not Baltimore now, gang related. DC never was a city. It was more about blocks than gangs. The Cater Street Boys, the Hill Boys, every city had their gangs. DC wasn't like California where you got the Bloods and the Crips. I didn't see no Bloods in DC. But another thing I didn't see. I saw it in Philadelphia. Regardless of what was going on among blacks, the white folks still had it on hold. The mob still had it down. The mob had Chicago down. Black folk ain't fuck with the mob. In New York, they didn't mess with the mob. The mob ran the city. Ain't no mob run DC. Ain't no mob. Ain't no mob. Ain't no white guy gonna walk the streets in DC, in Southeast. Not when I was coming up. I don't care who he is, what he is. He better keep his ass over across the Anacostia River.
So the wire pretty much is real life.
The Wire, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, during that time, I know friend. During that time, I was a drug counselor in Baltimore, up on Poplar Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor, you got a bunch of history, my brother. And you always welcome, man, to come share with me. You always welcome, man, to come share with me, bro. Who got this?
I'm sorry. It was a problem.
It was a problem.
In Baltimore with drugs, then you have to agree, Apostle, if you was a counselor, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, there were major problems in Baltimore with drugs. The problem is there was no foundational wealth in Baltimore.
Right, but I'm from at that time, probably when E Bizzle was coming up, I might have been in Wisconsin by then. Now we know that Al Capone ran crime between Chicago and Wisconsin. They had a
Right.
few dugout hotels and
In
bars,
Indiana country. Yeah,
right?
countrysides of Indiana.
Well, he had some bars and stuff that he ran underground where you could actually go from Illinois to Wisconsin through the underground. And they
Right.
end up shutting them down. But for a while, you could actually go up under there and go to them for a while, at least up until mid 90s or so, right? And then they finally closed them off. But New York had some gangster gang, because you know Elliot Ness. Now I'm a big Elliot Ness fan, so y'all had some stuff going on a little here and there. Like Washington had a little few connections, right? Because they had their connections, right? So Washington had some connections, and Baltimore might have had some connections. Now they didn't have big time gangsters in there, but they were ran by what we call the families, right? So they had the smaller families, and so maybe because at your era, you are elder to me, but because like I got brothers in your age, so you dealt with a whole different thing what E Bizzle talking about. But because I dealt with some things in my era where racism was our issue, right? Not so much as slavery racism, but we dealt with a different type of racism. Because I remember walking down streets and they throwing cans, you know, either open cans of Pepsis or half open cans of Pepsis and calling us niggas and right and that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure you can remember stuff like that where they throwing stones or rocks at us and that kind of stuff. So I don't know what E Bizzle trying to point out, but you didn't have it like this. Because I remember when segregation came in and they were segregating, and my brothers, we lived in Chicago at the time, and I remember my brother getting chased home from school and because they got segregated to a different school on the south side, or we lived on the south side. They got segregated to different schools on the other side of town, and getting chased home by, you know, white boys or what have you, because we were getting segregated and whatnot. And in the end, we ended up moving to Michigan, you know, and so this was the kind of stuff that was going on. And then when we got to Michigan, you really got the feeling the segregation or whatever, because we into a real intermediate mixing area, right? Because it was Germans and Mexicans and Chinese and all these people on our block. Where in Illinois, it might have just only, I was younger, so I really don't know, but it must have been all black people over in the area. But by the time we get here, it wasn't like that. So I'm just saying, because he Bizzle, you way younger. Now, you got us by.
I see you, James. I see you, James. Hold on.
Apostle got me by at least 8-9 years, and you probably got me about 9 years in youth. So we talking about at least 10 years between all of us. And so your experience is a whole lot different. You can't compare these differences.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't experience them. That's like even with Jay experience is not going to be nowhere near Apostles or mine.
Right.
And that's all I want to say.
All right. I want to move over to James. Hey, James, what'd you think about Apostle's story, man? Unmute yourself, James.
Can I talk? Can I talk?
You busy? You gotta wait, man.
Can y'all hear me?
James, you gotta speak up. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you have an echo, so close out your YouTube.
Hold on.
now?
Mic check, mic check. All right, go ahead, James.
Mic check.
Oh no, you still got an echo. All right, go ahead, James. Just say what you got to say.
Oh no, you still got an echo, man. But go ahead, just gotta say.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, the stuff that y'all talk about,
Turn it up a little bit. Turn it up. You're a little low.
Up a little bit. Turn it up. You little.
can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me?
I hear you. You're just a little low.
I
but I
hear
can
you. You're just a little low, but I can hear you.
All right, I was just saying, like, you know, the younger generation on down. I'm talking about like from being from the '90s and stuff. Like a lot of the stuff that y'all talk about is hurtful. It's very hurtful because y'all talk about different experiences, dealing with being from different states. And one thing I always try to push is that um kind of like enough is enough with all of the, you know, the how people look at racism or how people look at what was being done in the past. You know, people talk about the mob, you know, and are people fascinated about like certain things, or they talk about the gangs and whatnot. And it's like, I come from all of that. And I've been into it with like certain different people. Uh, and it's just kind of like I come from a certain place where like they not calling you a nigga. You see what I'm saying? They calling you a nigger. And it's kind of like, you know, well, all right, well, I mean, should do something about it, you know, bust a move. So that's what I represent. You see what I'm saying? And I always hear the same story all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, you know, it's kind of like I just feel like everybody should kind of just like move on with what's going on. Like y'all see how we being treated, and it's kind of like, you know, what are you gonna do? Because everybody else, like all of this stuff y'all talk about, my grandma talk about. You see what I'm saying? Or dealing with
Yeah, we see what you're saying,
genealogy
but
and
at
stuff
the
like
same
that. Y'all
time,
Yeah, we
bro,
see what
listen,
you're saying, but at the same time, bro,
listen up.
listen up.
Nobody forced you to
Nobody,
listen to Apostle's story at the end of the day, right? Nobody
No,
held
no,
you
no,
down in a
nobody
no,
chair.
held
no,
you down,
no.
and it's
Now, hold on, because I'm gonna just give my
No, no,
feedback
no.
based
I'm
off
now.
of
Hold
saying,
on.
how I'm just gonna give my feedback based off the way I heard it. It's almost like you're telling him that he shouldn't speak his experience just because you heard it before, just because you heard it from your grandmother. That doesn't mean that his story is not important or that someone else can't take value from his story. I actually learned a lot from his story. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you heard it 1,000 times before. But if he reaches one new person, then that's all that matters. And nobody's being forced to listen to anything here. If you want to hear a different story, then you got to go to a different person, maybe from a different generation that's going to have a different experience. But this is his experience growing up in DC during a particular time where drugs was dropped in his community, and he gave you that background and that history. So this is a story that's a part of the collective Black experience in America, or even the Indian experience. He gave his genealogy. I really like, Apostle, how you gave your whole family document and you turned that into a story, right? They did their own story right there. We read everyone else's books, everyone else's history. He did his own history. I'm gonna go and do that one day. So for me, Apostle, I would never tell you don't tell your story. You could come back here. We're gonna do a part 2, and we're gonna go into some other stuff. But this, I wanted just to stay on this topic right here, because as soon as you started going, I said, this is it. This is all I want to hear for an hour straight, man. So for me, I appreciate your story. I will never tell you it's not worth listening to. You are my elder. My grandmother doesn't have this story, man. My grandmother's from Trinidad. My grandfather's from Trinidad. So it's a little bit different. So that's all I could really say, James. It sounds like the way I took it, it almost sounds like you're not respecting his life story.
We should have let him. We should have let him finish
For what?
because
I,
he did start saying no. Because he's speaking from a younger point of view. Maybe he might not have the same point of view or standing as Jay. Like Jay said, he hasn't heard that type of story. James Brown probably the same age as him and probably heard this story. So he's probably like asking Apostle. I was waiting for it to sum up. He probably was about to ask Apostle, like, okay, what do you think we need to do from off of this?
okay, I can
You know,
appreciate.
But hold on,
we
because
could have wait.
I'm
We
the
just
same
wait.
age.
I'm due to let everybody, let them, let
No.
them ask
Here's
their
the thing,
question. I don't
OTK.
know what I mean.
He should have just worded it different. I agree with Jay here because I'm
Okay.
from their generation too, and I've heard this story. This is my family story on both sides. On my father's line, they got this story, and on my mother, I've heard this story a million times. However, the impact and importance of this story is not lessened by how many times I hear it. It's an integral part of all Black Americans' history and story, and it's a lesson that we need to continuously learn in here so we can try to move forward, right? That it's almost like the people that say we shouldn't learn about slavery, right? Or to just forget about it, let it go, or what are you going to do about it if you just keep talking about it? Nah, it's important we continue to hear these things. And yeah, we could discuss how we're going to move forward and fix these issues, but I don't think we should downplay the importance of the recanting of these stories, the retelling of these
The
stories.
thing what I'm saying is, yeah, okay, yeah, he probably could have reworded it and started it out different because the way that he worded it, it did sound like he was trying to like say like, okay, I'm tired of hearing these stories, but we didn't listen to the end.
But
We didn't listen to the end. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, it
and
did sound like that with me too. Yes.
I get that part, but my again, when we start off, because right now it's not you, but this is where I'm at because I started off respected just like you, right? We were raised to respect our elders, right? And now that I have gotten to the elder part, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. And when you get to the elder part and you don't get that, you're gonna see it, right? Just like that time we had the young man come on the panel and see you come on the panel and you have to make and not say you make it, but you have to speak up sometimes and have the young man to respect us on the panel. And you have to do that, right? And this is how we have to do it sometimes.
Do that, right? And this is how we have to do it sometimes.
Mute up for me, boo. So it's
You know,
just
for me, boo.
one time thing. And when you say so what, I'm tired of hearing or whatever, because they trying right now to debunk history, removing our history in our face. Right now, the slave trade almost didn't happen because the Abo generation or whatnot, and it's only because we are the same Negroes. We can't be African and Indian. And so that's going to remove the slave trade. We are removing and debunking everything. And to the point that I don't have to respect you because as an elder only means you're older, and I don't have to respect you because I am grown. Who raised you? My father wasn't at home, so you are not no man to me. We sizing up what makes a man. Now we too want your woman. Now we got to challenge men. This whole thing is twisted. So if we gonna start all over, let's start all over the right way. You cannot sit here. If that's gonna be the case, then when your child jump up in your face, don't you do nothing. Because if you're going to let it happen on the outside, let it happen on the inside. Don't check nobody on the outside. If it can't happen on the outside, make sure it happen on the inside of your home as well. Because right is right and wrong is wrong. And I only do what's fair. And sometimes that's not what's right or what's wrong in your eyes, but fair is fair all around the board. So if he want to remove and say, I'm tired of this, because he want to knuckle up Buttercup with everything that he don't want to hear. And that's not how we settle everything. Sometimes you got to just know how to hold them, know how to fold them, know how to walk away. Then you won't have to run. How about that one? Because you can walk away from some things.
Because you can walk away from something.
What I'm trying to say is, I apologize. What I'm trying to say is, a lot
we
of my
appreciate
people
that.
have been taking.
We appreciate that.
So what he's saying, like, it's an upgrade for me, because I'm a newer generation than him. When I tell you, I left my friends to join the service because I didn't want to be devoured by fentanyl. When I got back and nobody cared about what I did, who I lost, didn't nobody care about the people that look like me. My friends are dead. And then when you start talking about a generation that's older than me, I got an uncle that overdosed off of heroin. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes it's just like we don't know how to reword things, but I've been around the world 2 times. I know things. You see what I'm saying? I come back to teach the story about, like, this ain't the way. We not supposed to go this route. I can tell a person what's possible, ship wise. They taught it was niggas that was on the ship that showed me how to navigate the ocean. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just bring new information. You see what I'm saying? That's all.
Yes.
I care about my people and my people only.
Yes.
So when I say something about I don't fuck with the mob and I don't fuck with certain ethnicities, this is because of what has happened to our people. We're so broken up, and we don't listen to each other. We don't listen to our family. We don't. You see what I'm saying? So it's just all I'm trying to say is it's time for out all of that. Everything that he said, it's important. But that
Yes.
shit strikes certain people. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I look at this shit like, bro, this shit fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with anything that he had to deal with. That's all I'm trying to say. So my bad for for the elders and shit.
No, we appreciate that, and we thank you for saying that. You just came off a little wrong, but we appreciate you recanting that and fixing it, because we don't want you to sound like it was disrespectful. So we appreciate you cleaning that up and making it right for yourself, because didn't nobody want to take you the wrong way, like we was taking you the wrong way, and so we appreciate that. Thank you.
My bad.
No, it wasn't your bad. We appreciate you for fixing that
No,
up.
it wasn't your bad. We appreciate you for fixing that.
Apostle, that's for you.
My brother told me a long time ago, my first marriage didn't end very well. And I wasn't the one that wanted it to end. I wanted to hold on to my marriage. I was still in love with the woman. And I wanted to be with my children. The idea that some other man was going to come into my house and rule in my absence didn't sit well with me at all. But that wasn't the real reason. I mean, I still loved this woman. For 15 years, we were together. I didn't understand the fact that she told me that she didn't want to be married anymore. I couldn't comprehend that, but I had to learn to accept that. And I couldn't heal until I was prepared to move on from that and let her go. Y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that she was doing this and denying it, and I knew she was cheating, I had to find out. My background led me into private investigation field. And this is the kind of stuff I made a living off of. Domestic investigation. My brother told me, if you're not prepared to deal with the answer, don't ask the question. I didn't understand it because I was hurting.
Yeah.
Right? But if I had to do it all over again, I don't want to know. Frankly, I don't care. If my wife today, God forbid that it happens, come to me and say she don't want, bless you. I hate to see you go, but boo-boo, I'll see you later. I'm not going to lose my mind over another woman. I did that already.
Right.
You cannot control people. You can't make people love you.
No.
My sponsor asked me when I was involved with Narcotics Anonymous, because I did get involved, because at one time I felt I needed somebody to talk to that would understand my plight, that been there. And he said, what is wrong with you? And I said, what do you mean? He said, what is wrong with you to think that you can make somebody love you? Or why do you want to be with somebody who told you they don't want to be with you? That hurt almost as much as accepting the fact that she didn't want to be. I was like, damn. What? Look, I can do bad by myself. And I don't need you to violate my happiness. When you start looking to other people for strength, that you can't provide for yourself, but you need the love of another person, you need to fix that, man. And like, that you got enough love for self that you can endure even anything. The absence of a woman, right? So if you not all right with sharing something, don't share it. Everything that I've shared today, I'm all right with it. That's why I can share it, because nobody can take it and use it against me. Because if I felt that way, I wouldn't tell you. But I'm all right with everything that I shared, man. I've made peace with it all. Every bit of it. I've made peace with it. I'm okay today. And that's all right.
Man, Truist or Bizzle, man, y'all want to say something, man, before we go close this out? We're going on the 2-hour mark, man. I don't want to keep my brother too long. If y'all want to say something to him real quick, and then I'm going to let him go ahead and speak and then close it out if y'all want to say something real quick. And then me and Jay will go, Jay Truist, I guess we go in last. Me, Jay Truist. Bizzle, he's still in here, or Sakina Ra. I want to say something to Apostle real quick.
Well, I'm gonna close out, and I'm gonna say it's been a pleasure as always with the Roundtable gang. I love y'all much. And Apostle, I want to say that when you spoke on that Buick Regency, right? Let me tell you, I had a Buick Regency. I think it was a '79, and it reminded me of the Rolls Royce, right? And so when that Buick Regency, that's what I thought of. I said, y'all was styling back then because it reminded me of the Rolls Royce. So I know y'all was showing out back then. And that brought back
It was
that.
a beast.
Huh?
It was a beast.
Yes. And so I just thought about that. And I said, look, y'all was showing out back then with that Buick Regency because this show reminded me of the Rolls Royce. And I was like, you know how when the Temptations got out there and they rubbed it on the side and they slammed the door like that? That's how I did. Yeah. So with that, I'm just gonna say it was a blessing and an honor. And listen, I hope to see you soon back on Unscrambled Minds. And when we start arguing, just go on silent, but don't leave us again. We miss you, and honest, it's been a pleasure. You know,
I'll be there.
And
all right,
listen,
thanks, sis. Appreciate it.
You have been truly, listen, it's so good to see you at a more calmer state. And I need you to just keep whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it look good on you. All right. And y'all stay up. It's Shem and Hotep, y'all.
All right.
All right, E Bizzle, you want to close out? E, you're still there? I'll let E Bizzle stepped away. All right, Apostle, man, I guess I'll go first. I'm getting a little tired, but you know, I definitely appreciate your story. I think if you do decide to come back, I want to hear a little bit more about like your Hebrew, you know, how you came to that conclusion, the methodology you used, maybe look at some maps and things that you're interested in from your perspective. So hopefully if you come back, we could get into that information, you know. So that's my part. That's what I want to learn from you. Truist, you got anything?
Yeah, no, once again, the story I caught the last bit of you was telling. I've heard it before, but every time I hear it, it hits the same. It's powerful. Everything you spoke on that I heard, it's much needed information that I think we all should take lessons and try to look into our everyday lives and see where we could apply it. But like Jay just said, I would like to dive more into like your beliefs and your stances on your faith. And a question I was going to ask you, but if you come back and deal with the Bible, I'll save it for then. I was going to ask you about that situation going on right now overseas. I wanted to hear your opinion on that, but we can save that for the next show.
All right, thank you. OTK, it's on you, man.
All right, man. You know me, man. I always got to write a little. I do my shows, man. I always got to write what I get out of it or what I plan to do at the beginning. And I want you to know, Apostle, I want to thank you, man, for just being here and sharing with us. For one, man, you know what I mean, my brother. To iterate on what Sakina was saying about how you look, how the way you sound, and all that. I remember speaking to you on the phone, and shouts out to Lions Den and JJ 7000, because without him, I would have never ever got to even talk to you personally. But remember what I told you. I said, brother, get your health together first and leave everything else alone, and then come back strong. And look how you come back. Like they said, man, you look like youth done rejuvenated back in you. You sound good, you know what I mean? You're uplifting, you know what I mean? The story was powerful because it shows how a person can, you know, be at a low, I mean, so low to like a low as in a basement low, and then can rise to, you know, you saying that you going up in Tennessee in the mountains, and we iterate that on another show to where you done rise as high as mountains. So you came from a low, and now you about to end at a high. And and this shows strength, and also having a strong foundation, because you know what I mean, your foundation means everything too. And it shows that anything can happen. You can move any obstacle out your way. And this shows us that no one can tell the next person that their God don't exist, or God don't exist, or whatever that they believe in exists. Because whatever you believe in helps you be a better you, and what helps you on your way and your journey to being a better you and helping everybody else around you be a better them, then I'm all for it. I love it. I'm down for it. You would never hear that from me, my brother, telling somebody what is and what is not. And I appreciate you for that, man. Thank you for coming to the Roundtable gang, man. And you can go ahead and close out, and we're gonna end with you, Apostle.
First and foremost, man, most things on my heart is just to thank y'all. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this, to share with y'all, but greater with the audience, the ears that you don't see, might never talk to, but because of the wisdom of the Most High and the power of man, we have before us an ability to access avenues, areas, streets, circumstances today that were not afforded to us yesterday. Today, you can come on the air and reach thousands, hundreds of thousands. No telling how many times this tape is going to be played over and over and over again. So I thank y'all for allowing me, and man, I love to do it. Looking forward to doing other things. Concluding those things that we talked about earlier that we want to do that we didn't get a chance to do. Talk about it all, and utmost give the Most High the ultimate glorification and honor him because he deserves it. He alone is Lord of our lives and supplanter of all things that we need. So now, man, each and one, it's good seeing you again, Jay. Um, uh, I purposely shut things down on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't happy. I took a look. I took an honest look at what was going on and did not like the atmosphere that was being created and wasn't too comfortable with the individual, myself, that I was projecting. The way I allowed people to carry me. And I realized I needed to make a change. That wasn't my initial goals on that channel,
Right.
and I need a recess. So that's what I basically going to do. Take the opportunity of losing my hard drive to do that, to get away from the objectives that were being portrayed. I had to apologize to a lot of people, even for language that was being used. As a Christian, I find myself today talking in manners like I never would as a Christian to be accepted, thinking that they're going to accept me because I'm acting like them. How wrong was I? I'm here to show them a different me, a different them, a different way. Why? What makes me think by acting like them, I'm going to help them? Or even or them help me. My baby sister told me, she said, Stan, one thing I know about you when you talk, she says, I always keep in mind, you take A, B, and C. You're A, I'm B. And then she said something about C. She said, but when A, B helps A the most, forget about C. You don't even need to go there. Just continue to help people. In helping people, they're going to help you. So I'm going to close it with that, man. I'm going to leave it alone. And just say that I appreciate everything that happened. Thank y'all, man, for allowing me to come. And it was
Anytime.
unique that it wasn't no adversary, but sometimes a little adversary can help you also.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of what I learned in life is what not to do rather than is what to do.
Thanks. Appreciate you,
All right,
Apostle, man.
Maybe next
Don't
week.
worry, I'm gonna keep in contact with you, man. You welcome
Yeah.
anytime, brother. Anytime you ready, you got my number. All you got to do is send me a text.
Yeah.
You already know,
All right.
my brother.
Let me see if I can get past the 20th so I can get my new system together. And I won't have to wind up calling people trying to get information. I can have my information restored in some kind of manner. But I appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Thanks, Jake.
All
Thanks,
right, Apostle. See you soon, man.
Appreciate y'all,
Yeah,
man.
peace, Apostle.
Yeah, true is. Good seeing you, man. Good hearing,
Good
bro.
seeing you. And yo, definitely tune into our shows, and whenever we drop the link, you always free to hop on the panel and join the conversation.
I know about y'all, man. I didn't even know what the channel was, but I got you. I done shared. I done hit the like. I done subscribed. So, okay.
Appreciate you,
We good.
Apostle. We good.
All right, man.
All
Talk to
right, take care.
Roundtable game.
That was a good one, man. Let's close it out, though. We're going to end this stream. Thank everyone for watching. The Roundtable, hit the like button on the way out. Drop a comment once the video is posted. Let us know what you think. I'm Jay, OTK, Truist. We out, man.
We out. Gang, gang.